We lose on average 90 people a day from gun violence.
Police say at least 5 people are dead.
The Mall of America closed tonight after gunshots.
4 high school students shot in Philly. Every week, nearly 13 mass shootings.
Surpassing motor vehicle deaths in the U.S., firearms have recently become the #1 cause of death for children. The United States has become the most prone to gun violence over the past 10 years. It must be stopped. Even with laws supporting the possession of guns, all violence they execute disrupts the most fundamental human right, the right to life. Relative to other countries, the United States is more lenient when it comes to background checks, the production, selling, and usage of guns. The US is first on the list worldwide of gun ownership with 120.5 guns per 100 people. In comparison to first world countries like Japan, Germany, China, the UK, and more, and less developed countries like Yemen, which is in civil war, Serbia, Montenegro, and Uruguay, which are the top countries in gun ownership, this number is significantly high. This ratio is only continuing to escalate. The harsh reality is that America has significantly more guns than any other country in the world. With these circumstances, it's important to know how to responsibly own a gun. Marie Molnar, an experienced police officer, explains how firearms should be used responsibly in any situation.
The risk of owning a gun is the gun can cause some serious damage. So you need to be responsible. You need to have a safe that you will place the gun in the safe and be very careful. You probably should take some classes to know how to manipulate a gun, to understand how the gun can shoot, and always store it away from any children or anybody else who should not and cannot have an access to a gun.
Historically, when the Second Amendment was first passed, its official statement claimed a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Essentially, the Second Amendment granted citizens the right to carry guns. While it could have been argued to have more of an opinion in defending gun carriers' expectations, the US has drastically modernized, with new problems such as gun violence becoming more and more of a dilemma. The argument against the Second Amendment covers how stricter rules should be implemented, making it harder for one to possess a gun. Furthermore, in the U.S. v. Miller Supreme Court case which challenged the National Firearms Act, 2 men were transporting a sawed-off double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun in interstate commerce. The district court ended up dismissing this case due to the Second Amendment. Although the Supreme Court ended up reversing this decision, this demonstrates how the Second Amendment has too much power and how guns should be regulated under full government supervision, especially for cases like these. Another case was District of Columbia v. Heller, which discusses issues on how Second Amendment rights were violated. Police officer Dick Anthony Heller, once authorized to carry a handgun, wanted to keep it at home. Dick Heller's reasoning behind his preference for a firearm at home was for non-functional purposes and not in relation to self-defense. The lack of security by the Second Amendment results in 40,620 people dying by guns in an average year, a rate of 12.2 deaths per 100,000 people in the US. A big target group for homicides and suicides in today's day and age is the Gen Z generation due to the change in culture and norms. An organization called the Brady Center is committed to uniting Americans against the dangers of gun violence. We interviewed Robert Schentrup, an organizing manager at Brady Center, who speaks on the increase in shootings due to a change in recent generations.
The Gen Z being the largest proportion of people of color of any generation, largest proportion of those in the LGBTQ plus community, were uniquely targeted by gun violence in many ways.
This too increased the number of school shootings. The US has had 2,032 school shootings since 1970 and had an alarming number of 948 school shootings since the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy in 2012. 1 out of 5 gay and lesbian youth have been threatened or injured with a weapon on school property, and black children are 4 times more likely to get shot than their white peers. Additionally, according to Sandy Hook's Promise, owning a gun in any household increases the chance of a person to commit suicide, the main cause of death due to guns. From 2011 to 2020, suicide rate has increased by 12%. Homicide has also increased 70%. The horrible truth about gun violence is that these shootings really do affect people. A pull of a trigger will ultimately pull a family apart. Parents may never even get to see their children graduate, and loved ones are lost every single day.
My 2 younger sisters went to Stoneman Douglas at the time. My sister, Carmen Schentrup, was one of the 17 victims that were murdered that day. I didn't think it was going to happen to me, but it did. And I try and tell people, that It's important to get involved in things before it's too late.
It is important for people to email their senators and congressmen about changing gun laws, vote for gun restrictions when given the opportunity, and donate to foundations that help victims of such incidents. To promote awareness, people should educate themselves and those around them, as well as participate in anti-gun and HR 8 protests. Gun violence has been such an evident problem in the United States, and in order to resolve it, the country as a whole needs to take action now.